Welcome to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where today's top influencers and entrepreneurs on the rise share empowering stories and ninja tips to become the fuel that ignites a positive change in your life. Our guests don't simply coast through life. They don't let difficult situations stop them. They set big goals, keep their eyes on the prize, and they're joining us today to share insider secrets you can use right now to step into your power and live your purpose. Now, here's your host, Christy Ruffino.
Well, welcome everybody to today's episode of the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast. I am Christy Ruffino, the host of the show, and I get to introduce to you our guest and my friend Taren Sartler. I actually initially met Taren years and I don't even know how many years ago, but over 10 years. And she was a member of one of our Wisconsin chapters of the Dynamic Professional Women's Network. And I know she was a loyal part of that community for many years. And then something happened and she kind of went in a different direction. And then a few years later, she came back. And it's been really neat to watch her evolve and now to see where her business is now. So you're going to get to all meet her in person over the airwaves quickly in just a moment. But before then, I want to formally introduce you with her bio so you can kind of know how brilliant this woman is. So Taren is a lover of life and all things simple, and that makes them great. Taren works hard when she has to, so she can play hard when she wants to. And she teaches others to do the same. Taren is a mom-preneur and a recovering recovered workaholic with over 20 years of sales and self-employment experience, all while raising two amazing children as a single mom. Crying in her car after missing one of her son's baseball games, that was the catalyst that prompted her to begin her journey as an entrepreneur or into self-employment. To her, success was running her business and supporting the family without ever missing a concert, a play date, or a baseball game ever again. She knew the only way to realize that success was to master habits around how she managed her time. You know how it is. Noon concert at the elementary school, then practice for one of the kids when the school lets out at 2:40, and then a game at 4. All on different sides of the town, especially if you have multiple kids. Well, then you add in not having a second driver because now you're a single mom and you don't have any help and running a business and doing it all. She's learned a few things or two. So now Taren runs two successful businesses and her mission is to empower other women and busy professionals to find their own success, whatever their definition is, by implementing a foundation of strong habits and streamlining their processes. So welcome, Taren. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
I'm excited to be here, Christy.
Yes, it's going to be we're going to have so much fun. And what I want to do is start, like we always do with all of our episodes, is share your story. It sounds like you had a very pivotal moment right then, that moment in your car when you realized something had to change.
Absolutely. And I actually want to take your listeners back a few years prior to that. So I was married, had children, and subsequently divorced very, very young. My daughter was 8 weeks old the last time we saw my ex-husband. And that made our story very different, right? Being a single mom wasn't part of the plan, and our family unit became 3 really, really quickly. And so I dedicated everything that I did to ensure that those children had a mom present in the way that a mom should be for their children. And as you can imagine, that's a little bit more difficult. And I was in, we'll call it a fixed income space, right? I had an hourly paid job and I knew I was worth more than that. So the first decision I made was to take action and go out and seek my worth, right? Terrifying because I had 2 kids at home and I still needed to put food on the table and pay for daycare and make sure they can get to all of their sporting events and even participate in those things. And so I took my first outside sales position about 22 years ago. Thankfully, my grandmother was still around, so we had that support and help, but I never wanted to miss a thing. We didn't have two parents going to the event. So one could be at one concert, one could be at the other. And that was daunting. And so I started to more in trial and error, build these ideas and habits and disciplines. Fast forward to that moment where, again, I had erred. And in my opinion, it was very pivotal. I literally was I pulled up. I knew I was running late. I blew a tire on my way from the last meeting, and I'm trying to get there. And I pulled up as they were lining up at the end of the game, high-fiving. And I just started sobbing. And I thought, never again. So how do I make this change? I started doing research. I took a certification program in coaching so I could understand my own mindset. I hired a life coach. I've been through so many different steps to get here. And it really came down to managing me. So I don't call it time management. I call it calendar management. It's managing me in the time that I have. And I found myself then out in networking, like if your dynamic professional women's groups, often talking about the concept of time management, which was completely unrelated to the business that I had started 12 years ago after getting out of outside sales. And in speaking with a coach, by the way, if you don't have a coach, I absolutely recommend one. Christy, I know you do some coaching. Get a coach. That accountability is so important. Having a second set of eyes on things is so important. And that's kind of what happened. So I was speaking to her about my other business and wanting to level up. And she said, this concept, this calendar management, these habits, these disciplines, they keep showing up for you. It's a very viable solution to a common problem in our marketplace. You have a business. Would you just go start one, please? And that's how we ended up here today. Of course, then it was sitting down and putting all of the planning together and turning everything that I had learned and created into a system so I can now share it with the world.
Yeah, for sure. It is about systems, right? We have to have systems. And I can't really stress enough the topic of having a coach. And yes, we need the accountability. We need the support. We need to have somebody that's already done what we're looking to do to streamline our results. I think I just heard this in another interview, is to collapse the time frame. So take something that would typically take you, 5 months to figure it out on your own and get it done in a month, because somebody that's already done it knows the right way to do it and the right resources to use.
Hands down, Christy, find an expert that knows it already and shorten your learning curve.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So you were on this journey. You were doing great. You had this great business, but now you realize that you created the system for yourself to be more efficient and to be more productive and to create more time for yourself, like more time freedom for you to spend with your family and yourself, right? We got to be able to we have to be able to have more time for ourselves. And so now that's what one of your areas of focus right now, and you're juggling two jobs or careers, which is great. But tell us a little bit about how challenging it is to be able to have two highly successful businesses. Or is it not, because you're able to be efficient with your time?
Excellent question. I get asked that a lot, especially when I'm dealing with clients or teaching a workshop. People ask, how do you do it? And I joke, time management, right? But it's learning what you need to be doing in your business, your profession, whatever that is. It's understanding your priorities. And that's probably one of the top 3 mistakes people made that impede their success. Not knowing what your priorities are. When I got into business to be the technician, to do the trade, right? So whether you're a photographer, whether you're a coach, whether you are a bookkeeper, you go into business to do that, right? And provide that skill set to your clients. But then all of a sudden you're self-employed, or you're working for someone and you have all these other hats that you have to wear. And you forget that you can automate and delegate those skill sets to somebody else. So just like you should hire a coach to get a second set of eyes on things and teach you where you need to be, you should hire out, delegate out, or automate your systems And that's essentially what we've done. My one business is a machine. I've been in business 12 years. I have staff, I have team members. We're almost completely referral based, and the marketing, everything is a system. I just get to go in, meet with my clients, and do my job. Here in this TikTok, it's about time space. In the consulting practice, very same thing. Although I've been in business a little over 2 years now, it's still remembering to focus on my why. And actually, that's one of the things you speak on, right? Like harnessing that and purpose to profits. It's remembering that and sticking true to those priorities and automating and delegating as much as I can.
That is so good. So I have just recently found a automation tool that I love. Yeah, we have to be automated. We have to have systems. I'm all about systems. I'm all about being highly productive and organized. But I don't know if you've come across ClickUps yet. I love it. I am now making so many automations in my business, from a form, somebody filling out a form, to an automatic email, to delegating tasks to people on my team. And the more automated we can get, we do it once, and then it's just rinse and repeat. So it's
right.
So great.
It really is. And it shows, Christy. So just leading up to today, leading up to this opportunity for us to speak to one another, I can see how I got a 1-hour reminder, a 24-hour reminder, a 48-hour reminder, all the checklists, right? Here are all of the checklists. Here's the equipment. Here's how to be a great podcast guest. And I was like, this is fantastic. I know you're not sending every one of those individually, but it feels personal and it makes me feel prepared and ready to speak with you today. So it shows. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I know you've got like really great ninja tips to share. We're going to do that after a break. But before we do that, I want to talk about this event that you have, because this is another hat, right? Taren is actually an event host, and I am super excited about it. I have, when you shared with me about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. Let me share it in our community. Let's get it out there in a big way. And now then you invited me to be one of the speakers on it. So that I am very honored to do. But everybody that's out there listening right now, there's something in it that will really meet the need no matter where they're at, because the people that you're bringing together are just great. So if you can share, like, what is the focus, who is this event for, and how it will help them, that would probably be the best way to really get people to realize if they feel it's a good use of their time.
Yeah, hands down. Thank you for asking. So the Power of Purpose Conference is a conference by women for women, right? It is May 6th through the 8th. And I know, Christy, you'll get those links out to your listeners so that we can share even more information. It's targeted towards women in the financial space. So insurance agents, brokers, bankers, financial advisors, CFPs, the list goes on. But we realize that so much of the content can really be used in any female entrepreneur type space, or many, I should say. So check out the content. We have speakers like Christy here, who is harnessing the power of your why and turning purpose into profits. We have a few other speakers talking on running a successful business and building teams. We have someone speaking on taking action and getting drastic results because you decide to take action. I myself will be speaking on the power of decision. So there's a lot of really inspirational content, but then we have tactical stuff. We have an expert on marketing. We have an expert on taxes, navigating emotion with clients. So there's so much content out there. I couldn't even go over it all in the next few minutes that we have. But please check out the links that Christy shares, because it's going to be a bang up event.
Yeah, so everything related to the event will be in the show notes below. So make sure that you peek around, see who the event guests or speakers are. Check out the dates. Again, it's May 6th, 7th, and 8th. And it is a virtual event. So if you can only attend a few of the speakers, feel free to just jump in whenever you feel that the content is relevant for your needs.
And to that point, Christy, we are recording all of the content. So everyone who is registered will have the option to go back and listen, re-listen, and or attend on their own time if they can't make the event live.
Oh, and that's great, honestly, because it's hard for especially entrepreneurs. And we can be the best time management, experts, but we can't necessarily always block out, 3.5 days. Actually, it's,
Right.
it's like not 3 full days. So it's
It
pieced together. So
it is. And we built it for people in sales, people in business, because we know they're busy. So there are on purpose breaks. There are on purpose opportunities to network with the experts and the exhibitors. It's a virtual conference like I haven't seen yet. And it's going to feel so much like an in-person conference because of the platform that we're using, that it's, yeah, like I said, bang up. It's gonna be mind blowing.
yeah, I got an actual preview of how the whole technology is going to work, and I think it's amazing. It's going to be it's not one of those things where we're going to be the guests are going to be sitting in front of their computer watching like a Zoom show for, however many hours. It's very experiential. So
Mhm.
I think that's going to make it more user friendly, I want to say, and allow the attendees to be able to get more out of it and connect, because networking should be a key piece of this, how we can meet the other like-minded people that are attending the conference together.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Perfect. All right. Well, Taren, do you mind hanging on just a moment? We're going to take a break and then we're going to come back so you can share some of your ninja strategies or ninja tips. Awesome. I got a thumbs up, so I think she's okay with that.
Yeah, we're good.
All right, hang on, everybody. Why spend hours networking in person and now online only to interact without ever connecting? Who wants to be even busier when our goal is simply to get more business? Since 2003, the Dynamic Professional Women's Network, aka DPWN, has established itself as the premier network for women to grow their businesses through relationship networking. With local and global members across the nation, DPWN sisters help each other prosper through collaboration, mentorship, accountability, support, wisdom, and most importantly, referral generation. To join the DPWN team, visit dpwnglobal.com. Okay, well, everybody, welcome back to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast. This is Christy Rufino, and I'm here with my guest, Taren Sartler. And Taren, let's not just drag our feet any longer. Let's dive right into this content, because I know you've got some great ninja tips to share with our audience about time-saving strategies.
Yes. So everything we talk about is about being more efficient, more effective with your time so you can get back to enjoying life, right? So here are a couple of things that you can take with you today to start being more efficient and having more self-care time, more time with your loved ones. The first thing I like to remind people of is when we're in business or sales or whatever our profession is, we often get caught up in the busy work. So I'm going to give you a couple of tricks around that. The first thing I want you to think about when you're in that busy work, so it's paperwork, it's being on social media personally or professionally, right? Those items that take us down a rabbit hole, checking emails that can take forever. Set a timer, set a specific amount of time you want to spend on that task, have that pre-scheduled in on whatever those blocks of tasks are, and then use a timer, and it has to be a timer that ticks. There are a couple of things that that's going to do for you, right? The name of the company. It's my favorite time hack, and here's why. So you're on the rabbit hole, you're out, you're working on social media for your business, or you're doing some paperwork, and you hear that ticking. Can you hear that?
Yes.
Yeah. So what that does is it makes your brain mentally race against the clock. You will get more done in the same amount of time if that ticking is in the background, because your brain psychologically is going, I know the timer's going to end soon, so I need to get all of this done before I do that. When you are on a task where you're using the timer, shut all of your notifications off. Even if you're working in your calendar, there are ways to turn your email sounds off so you're not getting stuck in that if you're supposed to be working on your calendar. Turn off your social media notifications, power off or silence your cell phone, and then flip it over or throw it in a drawer. We're Americans. We want instant gratification, right? And if we see that little flashing light because we got a notification, even if we didn't hear it, we want to flip it over and see what it's about. And so that trick alone will help you get more done throughout the day, and then be okay with having that boundary, knowing I had this amount of time, that time is over, I'm moving on to my next task, right? You can come back, busy work can get done later. The next thing that I like to remind people of is we are in business. So when you're starting to work with these disciplines and habits, and you're starting to schedule things into your calendar, I like to recommend what I call Plan B time. So Plan B is if you have a meeting and they reschedule last minute or they don't show. That's happened to all of us. If you have something you're supposed to do that's revenue producing and it doesn't happen, have a Plan B kit ready to go of other things you can do in that same amount of time to drive your business forward. So it could be have a billing list ready and get all of those invoices out for if there's delayed billing or unpaid invoices. It could be a list of prospects, referrals, or clients you need to call. And get meetings scheduled. We're not doing follow-up work. We're scheduling more revenue producing time. Something like that can replace what you were supposed to be doing to make money with other things that will help make you money. And the reason for that is if you trade it for anything else, you've gotten to the end of the day and you haven't done anything to drive your business forward, whatever that looks like. And so keeping consistent in that, my non-negotiable to myself, if I get rescheduled on or somebody doesn't show, is that I dial the phone until I get 2 new meetings on the books that weren't there before that hour started. Yep. So set something like that. I also talk a lot about flex time. So flex time to your calendar is like shocks and struts on a car. And if I'm moving along too fast or you have questions, feel free to stop me, Christy. But it's like the shocks and struts on your car. So you're driving down the road, you hit a big bump, and if you didn't have those, boom, you're smashing your car to the ground and you're probably done driving, right? It's going to totally ruin the car. Flex time helps in those moments where your day might otherwise be ruined. So if you know you're going to hold 3 appointments in any given day, and they each take an hour to an hour and a half, build in a half hour of flex time after each meeting. That way, if it runs over, you still have time to regroup, finish up, get anything to staff that they need, finish up any notes or paperwork you need from that meeting, do those things so you can move on, and then visualize your next task and be prepared for that mentally, and have time to make sure that all happens. If the meeting runs early, now you have more time to maybe follow up on some phone calls or emails. Here's one, speaking of emails, that I love. Stay out of your inbox. I'm gonna say that again, stay out of your inbox. We really should only have to check our emails 2 to 3 times a day. And that sounds crazy, but there are a lot of tools out there to help if you don't have staff, ways that you can automate getting things out of your inbox that you don't need to see. So there, you can create rules within and folders within your emails. You can use programs like Boomerang to help bring back conversations you might have forgotten to follow up on. You can use programs like unroll.me, which helps take subscriptions and emails directly out of your inbox, piles them into one email you can check or not throughout the day. So all of these tools are out there. There are some out on our webpage and on a resources page, but there are so many that you can do, and then only check your emails 2 to 3 times a day. Here's the tough part, the mindset around that. We want to be the most committed people to our clients, right? We want them to know we care. We want them to know we're responsive. So we have to start to give ourselves some grace and think of it from the other person's perspective. So if you emailed a service provider, coach, whatever it is, right? You emailed them and they didn't get back to you within 5 minutes to an hour, you're usually not all that upset about it. And if it's something that's more important than that, then you're picking up the phone and you're trying another method of getting a hold of them, right? So we need to give ourselves grace and remember that it's okay if they email us at night and we respond in the morning. That's okay. We don't have to work 24 hours. They email us in the morning and we don't get to them until after the lunch hour. That's okay. It's okay. And so it's just remembering that. Another thing we often do is not take care of ourselves, right? We want to work to make the money to live the life we eventually want to live. Why don't we just live that life now? Because if you really harness some of these habits, you can have more time, be more efficient, and then build in more self-care. So when I work with people, I actually tell them the very first thing we're going to put in your calendar is you time. Anything for you, anything for the family, that goes in first. And those are non-negotiable appointments. But if you have an appointment with yourself, and that's exactly what it is, if you have an appointment with yourself to go to the gym at 5:00 and 5:00 comes and you go, but I really need to get through all of these emails. I really need to finish that proposal, whatever it is. Try to remember this. Would you cancel on a client because you had emails to take care of or a proposal to do? You wouldn't cancel on another client. So don't cancel on yourself, because you cannot serve from an empty vessel. And if your battery is drained, you're not giving your clients and loved ones their all. So you need to take care of you first, family second, and then work comes in, then everything else comes in. Do you have a common, so I have so many tips, like you said, ninja tips. I could just do an avalanche here of time management tips.
This has been great.
Thank you. But do you have maybe a specific challenge that you come across often with your clients or your listeners that I might be able to speak on?
Well,
just to make sure
you know what? I want to go back to what you've shared already.
Yeah.
Because I know some of these are really important. I know for me, when I'm doing busy work and I feel that it's not in alignment with what I should be doing, I kind of feel icky. Like my body, I can tell with my body that I'm feeling resistant or something's not right. And in the past, I would just like push through it, like it's okay. But now I've learned to listen to my body and think, all right, something is not in alignment. All right, yeah, maybe I need to like not do this right now because it's really not what I should be doing.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I totally
point.
get where you're at. And I think having a timer is really a good idea. I don't know where do we get a timer that ticks anymore? Like it's all digital.
Yeah. So Walmart
they have the old school.
Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah. The old
school.
kitchen
Okay.
egg timer. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then
all right.
there's an app I have. So if I'm not in the office, I know I'm going to make calls, but I'm sitting at the park because it's beautiful outside. There's an app on my phone and it's just called Kitchen Timer Plus. That's for,
love it.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Yep. That's for
great.
Android. I would imagine there's something similar for the Apple users. Yeah. Yeah. And you're so right. I mean, if it doesn't give you energy, why are we doing it?
Yeah.
And if it's a necessary evil, then get creative. I'll tell people, if you don't enjoy doing laundry, there are services for that, right? Yep. And if you can get your laundry done and have more self-care time or make more money than it costs you for that service, who cares? I haven't been to the grocery, even pre-COVID, I hadn't been to the grocery store in how long? And you know what I mean? Like, I don't enjoy grocery shopping. So someone else does it and drops it off at my house.
Yep. No, I love that. If you can spend $20 to have somebody do something and in that time you can make $200, that's like a no-brainer.
Heck,
it's a mindset shift. People need to look at it from that perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll actually run numbers with them. So I'll use the example of bookkeeping. So many people, I'm not in business to do bookkeeping, right? You're not in business to do bookkeeping, but it's a necessary evil of running a business that can so easily be delegated out. Hire a contractor if you don't have someone on staff, right? So, and I'm just going to make up numbers. I like round numbers, but this is such a great example, and I'll run it with clients. So let's say a contract bookkeeper costs you $500 a month for them to do your bookkeeping, whatever that looks like, $500 a month. Your average sale happens for a client, we'll say happens to be $500. Again, I'm keeping it clean and easy. If it takes you 4 or 5 hours a month, we'll say 5, we're on a 5 train. We'll say 5 hours a month to do your own bookkeeping because it's not your skill set and it's not what you're in business to do. If you pay someone $500 to do it, you could get 2 more hours of prospecting or phoning time, 2 more client meetings, and 1 more hour of self-care. You've made $1,000, which is a net then of $500, and you're still made time to pay for that person you didn't think you could afford to hire. The numbers don't lie.
Yeah, I totally get it. Absolutely. And then you mentioned notifications.
Yes.
And I know I have no notifications on my phone unless it's like a personal thing, because I don't want to be distracted. And yeah, we can multitask, right? Women can. We pride ourselves for being multitaskers. but it does reduce our efficiency.
Hands down.
And so if we can stay focused on one project at a time, then we are able to be, I feel, better. We create better results for ourselves. So I have no notifications. That is something that I learned a long time ago.
Beautiful.
Yay. All right. Business, to be our own boss. So in our business, yes, we have to have, realize that we need to be our own boss and to really focus on revenue generating work.
Yes.
I love that when somebody cancels to have your time for doing something productive. And right away I thought dial for dollars, but no, it's dial for dates. So pick up the phone and get your dates, get your calls together with prospects or partners or referral.
Hands
people.
down, networking. Yep. What will help drive revenue? Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. What else? So you had flex time. That was great. I have always made it a habit of anytime I do have a networking event that I schedule in follow-up time afterwards.
Yes.
Because if not, I go on to the next thing and then I don't follow up with anybody who I committed to follow up. And now I have these piles of things I need to do. And I feel like, oh my God, I got to go back and do this and do that.
I'm doing the golf clap for Christy here. That's amazing. Yeah. I train people on that. That's so great that you're already doing it. And not just networking events, any Zoom meeting you're on, any one-to-one coffee date.
Everything.
Yes. Yep. Spend a few time, make sure you're connecting with them everywhere. Make sure you follow up on anything that you talked about that you said you were providing for them or going to follow up with. Yes. Build that time in.
Yeah. Because it's stuff we have to do anyways. Why not do it in a way that we feel good about it?
Yep.
As opposed to thinking we have all these things hanging over our head that we've got to get done. And then all of a sudden now we're working between 5 and 7 to get those things done. And then it's just not good. All right.
And it's helping us. It's solidifying the fact that we're being on purpose with our time.
Yes. And it feels good, right?
It does.
It just feels good. All right. So we're going to move on to emails.
Yeah.
Emails is a huge, huge, huge problem for people. And I look at emails as noise. But it's necessary, right? It's the best way really still to get a hold of people. But yes, if we are in our inbox all day long, we're being reactive instead of intentional with our time. So yeah, I probably am in email less than I should be. But, I kind of go in there once a day. That's it. Once a day.
And that's okay. If you're responding, beautiful. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And my clients know if they need me, then they have a way to get a hold of me. And then to have a no cancel policy with our self-care time. That was one of the things that really stuck with me because I don't schedule in enough self-care time. So I'm going to do that. And I'm not going to cancel on myself because it is so easy to say, all right, well, I've got to do this and this. I'm going to do it here instead of keeping true to what we should be keeping true to and making that time precious. Yes. We've made it less of a priority. And then of course, then who loses out? We do.
Right. So, yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, no, these were all really, really, really great tips. I can't think of anything that you didn't cover or anything specific that I mean, you talked about, using your revenue generating time in the most valuable way that you can based on your expertise and email. And I don't know, is there anything else that you can think of?
I'll just share, I'll talk on interruptions because I'm sure there are listeners here that work in teams and or are working at home still, given the current world state of affairs, right? So when you're in an environment where you have other people to worry about, I love this hack. The knock on the door, knock, knock, knock. Do you have a minute? And it's never a minute. So, right. It's an interruption. So 2 things I'll give you here. One is language that helps. Use your words. I'll use mine, but take this and practice it. And it, again, is a language that you can use with people if you're working on teams and you find those interruptions. I don't have time right now. I'm working on a project. I'm working on whatever it is. I do have time at 3 p.m., whatever time it is in the day. And what is it in regards to? So I know how much time to prepare for you and how much time to set aside for you and how to be prepared for that. Because what you'll find out really quickly is it was a personal story they wanted to share, or it was a question on something that you're not even the person that's supposed to be answering, or that they can go, here's a resource page, go find the answer there. And then it takes the conversation off of the table entirely. And if it is something necessary, you're dealing in that sort of Covey style square of, is it urgent, important, not urgent, not important, on your time, and not being reactive, being proactive.
Oh gosh, I love that. I have somebody that I know I want to listen to that, because I constantly hear complaints about interruptions in the workday, but yet it's being allowed. So if you can change the wording around that and make sure that the person knows that, well, I'm already busy, but I will make time for you, and then find out the best way to handle that instead of dropping what you're doing. And quite often that person could figure it out on their own.
Right. Hands down. Yep.
Yeah. I love that. All right. So that's one. What's the other one?
The other one is using an indicator. So if you're in an office setting or even at home, people can be trained. It's like Pavlov's dogs, right? So in my office, there's a red flag that drops down. When that red flag is down, I am not to be interrupted. My staff, everybody knows that door does not open. I have worked with a gentleman who loves racing. So he has a checkered flag that he hangs outside of his door. And it could work in a cubicle situation. It could be a cute little sign that says, do not disturb. I have a woman who's a travel agent who works from home, and the dining room is just outside of her office. So as people walk by and they want to stop and talk to mom or wife, when she's to not be interrupted, she has a cute little sandwich board, chalkboard, and she changes the colors and everything on it every day, and she plays with it, but it gets set out when she's working on something she does not want to be interrupted on. So those two things combined, you'll find that you have so much more time in your day just because you're taking so many conversations that aren't necessary off your plate.
Love it. Awesome.
Yes.
So I actually have an indicator when I do sessions like this, and I've got right now a big red stop sign on my door so nobody comes in. But unfortunately, my grandkids, they don't always pay attention to it.
No.
So I still have them once in a while come bopping in here, but that's okay.
Yeah. And if people are working from home, if there's nap time, try to do those quiet things you need quiet for around nap time, right? Just simple little changes. Or if they have a schedule, favorite TV show that they like, not that I encourage TV being a babysitter, but if they have one, or a game they could play on a tablet that's educational, something to keep them preoccupied. But yeah, the little ones, and then dogs. We can't control the dogs barking in the background, but
yes.
we can mitigate it as much as possible.
Yeah, all of my podcast episodes are over by 3:00 because then my granddaughter gets home, and then the dogs bark, and it's just chaos. So yeah, sometimes we have to be smarter than them, right?
Yeah.
All right. Oh my gosh, Taren, this was so much fun. I really appreciate you taking the time to be on our show. If you are listening to this and really resonated with anything Taren said, make sure you connect with her. She's got that free gift. The links will be in the show notes below, as well as all of the registration information for the Power on Purpose conference coming up in May.
Yes.
So, is there anyone final last thing you want to share before I close our show today?
I think this has been such a great experience, and I just want to thank you for inviting me, Christy. I know we've known each other for a lot of years, but to actually do this together, finally, I feel like has been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed being here.
Yeah, I have too, Taren. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where we believe that everyone can have the business and life of their dreams once they've learned the art of mastering their story. Mastering our stories is the key to everything we want in life. Our stories can either hold us back or they can propel us to new heights. We can choose. You can choose. Choose to overcome mediocrity with us. Let's achieve greatness together. To learn more, visit www.overcomingmediocrity.org. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast.